Good morning, this is Rachel with Infused Meadow. And I did a video on this, but I may have titled it bad. I think it was like, coffee, expensive machines not needed, or something like that. And you know what, I go with simple, what would catch my attention kind of names. Obviously, it may not catch everybody else's attention, but with the storm coming through, okay, let me explain a little. Okay, if you are going to be in the path of the storm that's fixing to hit and you have a chance of not having power, then before it hits, go to any of your camping sections, any camping store, okay? And you will find yourself what's called a camping stove. It's usually a single eye, and you can get the ones with butane. And that way, you don't have to worry about electricity, and you can still heat or cook or whatever you need to do right there in your kitchen, just like you normally do. Unless you have a wood stove. Anyway, so let's get on to what I'm doing right now. Yesterday was an extremely busy day. I did all those videos, hoping that anybody that could need any kind of meal that they can throw into jars and be able to cook, during this storm, you have a shelf-stable meal. And those meals will last, a year or two. Just check your ingredients. If your milk powder says it's good for a year, then you've got a year. I personally know that milk powder lasts longer than that, but if you're one of those that goes off the expiration date, then you've got a year. All right? Anyway, so you just make sure it's in an airtight container, or like I showed you yesterday, I just used some of those little Mylar bags, closed them up. They'll be fine for at least a year. If you have a pot and you have water, which is all I have in this pot, then you can make coffee. Okay, you do not need a coffee maker. You don't need a percolator. You don't need a French press. You need this, a sieve. If you don't have a sieve, you can use a colander. Now the only difference is if you have, a sieve, you can probably put that right over your coffee cup, and it'll be fine with your coffee filter in it. You can ladle this into that, or you can, pour if you've got a nice steady hand, so that the coffee filter makes sure to grab your coffee grinds that are going to be in this, coffee grounds that are going to be in this. If you use a colander, you're going to put your coffee filter at the bottom, and same thing, you're going to slowly pour or ladle in your coffee, and you want to put a bowl under your colander, though, because that is a wider space, and, when you pour that, you don't want you don't want to try to aim for a little cup and you end up with coffee everywhere. Plus, the bowl will ensure that in case you accidentally flatten your filter, and you can also use a cheesecloth, by the way, if you have that. But if you're using a coffee filter and you accidentally flatten it, you don't have to worry about the coffee grounds running out those colander holes. I highly recommend you should have a sieve. Or I've shown you in my Canon videos, I have this little round. It's got it's got like a cheesecloth already made on it, so I can just set it on something and pour it over, and I don't have to use the coffee filters with that. You can find those on Amazon, and well, that's all I know is Amazon. You can probably find them other places, but definitely Amazon. Okay, so once this comes up to a boil, I am going to add some coffee grounds to it. Now, I don't like a, stand your fork up kind of coffee. So I will be adding about 4.5 scoops. Now, my scoop it's actually a little less than a tablespoon. So I will do, like I said, about 4.5 scoops of coffee. How do you know if your scoop is a tablespoon? You just take a tablespoon and you put anything in it, and then you literally put it into your scoop. And that's how you find out if it is a tablespoon or not. So I'm not trying to ramble, I'm just trying to give some information. So this is going to come up to a steam. While we're waiting on that, let's just go ahead, and I'm going to give you some powdered coffee creamers that you can make. That way, if you're a coffee drinker and you like creamer in yours, and this is one of those, even if you like milk and sugar, to make a simple just your simple run-of-the-mill coffee creamer. All you want to do is take yourself a bowl, add 3 cups of your milk powder to it, and then add yourself 1.5 cups of powdered sugar. You're going to whisk that together, and you're going to put that into an airtight container. And then all that's doing is replacing your milk and sugar. So when you want to put that into your cup, all you're going to do, 1 to 2 tablespoons, add yourself tablespoons, stir that in, taste it. If you want more, add more. Now, I like to add at least a pinch of salt to mine, but you don't have to do that. Now, let's say that you want a mocha. Okay, you're going to still take, everything I'm going to tell you from here is off of that base recipe of your 3 cups and your 1.5 cup of powdered sugar to milk. So if you wanted to turn that into a mocha, you're going to add yourself I would do a 1/4 cup of cocoa powder and about 1.5 to 2 teaspoons of espresso powder. And you're just going to whisk that in, and then there you go. You've got yourself a mocha coffee creamer. And then the same thing. You add 1 tablespoon to your cup. If you want more, add 2. Let's say you want a pumpkin spice instead of, the other 2. Well, then all you're going to do is, with your base recipe, add yourself about 1.5 tablespoons of your pumpkin pie spice mix. And you're just going to whisk that in. Now, if you want more flavor, go ahead and feel free, add yourself 2, 3, 4 tablespoons, 1/4 of a cup of it. And you're just going to add that into that creamer that you've made, your base recipe, whisk that in, and then just add that into your coffee cup. Now, like I said, this is all based off flavor, so I'm going to start with a low end of your spice, and then from there, make yourself like a little cup of coffee just to taste it, and then that way you'll know if you want to adjust and add more. If you want a gingerbread flavor in your coffee, then you're going to take that base recipe, start out with 1/2 tablespoon of ginger powder and about 1/2 tablespoon of cinnamon. Whisk that in, see if that's good for you. Now, you might end up wanting more like a tablespoon of the ginger powder, but it's completely up to you. If you want, let me think. You could make all these separately, but it's really up to you, if I'm completely honest with you. Let's say that you wanted what I think we call in the U.S. a spiced, like a Mexican mocha powder. Then you're going to take your base recipe, and to that you want to add 1 cup of cocoa powder. You want to add 2 tablespoons of your espresso powder, add 1/4 teaspoon of salt, 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne, and 2 tablespoons of cinnamon. All you're going to do, again, whisk that up, and then you're just going to add that to, a tablespoon or 2 tablespoons to your coffee cup. And then if you wanted a little bit more chocolatey, feel free to add yourself some of those, the semi-sweet chocolate chips, or cut up your favorite chocolate bar. Add that in there. If you want, dead air, I know. You want more of your hot milk chocolate, then to your base recipe, you just want to add your, you're going to add in 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1.5 cups of cocoa powder, and if you have it, 2 teaspoons of vanilla powder. And then you can still add, like that, 1/2 cup to a cup of chocolate chips if that's what you want in there. So that's, basically the ones that I use, or I've tried, sometimes. Now, when I do my liquid creamers, yeah, that's a whole different ball game. Because I think I've only done like 1 or 2 liquid creamers. I wasn't too happy with the pumpkin pie spice mix one that I did, just because I think I did it on the stovetop. And so I should have strained it. Let's just say that. I should have strained that through my sieve, because of how much, that the spices that I put in there kind of overwhelmed every single cup of coffee, because it stays in there. So next time I will heat that up on the stove to get the flavors in there really nicely, and then I'll strain that off, and then I'll turn around and I'll add my tablespoon or 2 of my pumpkin puree to that. And then, yeah, we'll go, you know, that's my plan anyways. Yeah. Still waiting on that water. So I don't want this video to be too long. I also don't want you to miss something and think, well, what did she do? That's my, you know, my biggest thing is I don't want y'all to miss out on anything and then wonder, well, what happened? So I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll go ahead and pause this just until this comes to a boil, and that way you'll see that I've not done anything, and we'll be back. I just thought about it. I should have said this too. So let's say that you want a flavored coffee, and not so much the creamer, okay? When we put our coffee grounds in here, then you can go ahead and add like your pumpkin pie spice or your apple pie spice. You can throw in some cinnamon, some nutmeg. The sky's the limit, okay? You put in what you like into this, and that way, because you'll be straining it off anyway, you've cooked your flavoring into that. And then you're straining it off, so any of the, you know, your spices that don't break down, which most of them don't, will be left with your coffee grounds into your coffee filter. So hopefully that helps. And I have had coffee this morning, but I'm making this really for the video. But I will also store this, whatever, you know, my coffee when it's done, in a glass jar, and once it cools, I'll put it in the refrigerator. I like to turn this into what I call my coffee treat. It's kind of like the mocha frappes that you get, you know, at certain restaurants. And to that, all I do, I've done a video showing you how to make your own chocolate syrup. So when I make my little, what I call my special little treat coffee, I just add to my big, you know, it's a 1 liter glass jar. I'll add about 2 to 3 tablespoons of my chocolate syrup. And, sorry, that's when I have a half a thing, and there's a reason. I have a little over half a thing of coffee in there, so usually I'll break, you know, if I have a full thing, I'll put it into 2. I'm mincing my words. Anyway, so what I do is I'll add that 2 to 3 tablespoons with, like I said, a little over half of coffee, and then you're going to top that up with your milk. Shake that up really, really well, and there you go. Now, if you want more of the restaurant style, what you want to do is put that all into a blender and add yourself some ice. Pour that into your cup, and if you really want to, you can add some whipped cream to the top and drizzle that with a little bit more of your chocolate syrup. There you go. All right. We're still waiting on this. We'll be back. Okay, so we're starting to boil. I'm good with that. Now, I have shown you in that other coffee, you know, the one that I named badly, how to grind your own coffee beans. 2, 3, 4 and a half. So if you don't know, you know, that you can do that yourself, then please go watch that video. I even explain, you know, how long you can let this sit. Fresh coffee grounds, generally, I don't keep longer than a week. I try to do enough just for a week. They stay in an airtight container in my refrigerator. I'm going to let this boil for 10 minutes. So I've got a timer set. Well, I'm going to hit start now. And after 10 minutes, we will be back. If it gets too vigorous, then I will turn it down because I don't want a hard boil. I just want a little bit more than a light simmer, if that makes any sense. We'll be back. Okay, so I went ahead and stopped mine at 8 minutes. I think that this is probably strong enough for me. I'm going to move you back, so I do apologize. Anybody that gets a little nauseous. I have myself a bowl, and this is one of those filters that I was telling you about. I use these for canning a lot. I'll use them for anything because this means I don't need a coffee filter. It will catch absolutely everything. And I have 2 of these. I've got this size and a larger one. And like I said, you can get these off of Amazon. I don't remember what they're called, but if I find them, I'll certainly let you know. So all you're going to do is pour your coffee, make a little bit of a mess. As much as you want. You have coffee, okay? All you're going to do now is literally, you know, pour this into your coffee cup, add yourself some creamer that you want, and you've got coffee. And you did not need a coffee pot. You didn't need a French press. You didn't need anything, okay, other than your pot, water, coffee grounds. I've given you some of those powdered creamers that you can throw together. I use liquid creamer, but if I need it, I will make powdered creamer just to keep on this, on the side, especially if I think bad weather's coming to where power could be lost. So I hope that this helps anybody that's looking for how to have coffee with this weather that's coming. And, you still need your energy, right? We all like our coffee, or most of us like our coffee. And you can do the same thing if you're a tea drinker. You're literally still going to boil that water on your stovetop or that camping stove that I told you about. All right, so I hope that this helps. I'm not going to be typing out the ingredients for the coffee mixes that I gave you. So if need be, pause it, write it down, pen and paper, type it out on your computer, and then you can print it out if you want. But I won't be doing that one today. I've got a lot of other things that I need to get done. I've still got to make some granola and some tea, and I don't actually have the time today. Yesterday I was able to type out those recipes literally in between while the bread was baking. And today I was going to make something for dinner. My husband kind of threw me off last night because he saw next Friday's menu and thought it was this Friday's menu. So he got really excited about pizza. So tonight I'm making pizza. I have done a video on that if you're interested. And I don't see me redoing that one, at least not right now. But there is a video on it, so if you're interested in that at all, I think it's 2 separate videos. One is the pizza sauce that I use, and the other one is the actual, the pizza dough, and then turn that into my pizza. So anyway, I hope that this helps in any way, shape, or form. And I don't know that anybody else is going to show you how to do this, so I can't tell you to go find it. But anyway, I hope this helps, and I hope you have yourself a wonderful day. Stay safe, y'all.